The warning bells. Dr. Sarah Chen stood motionless before the wall of holographic displays in the quantum signal analysis lab, her eyes fixed on an anomaly that shouldn't exist. The signal had first appeared 3 days ago, the faint whisper from the direction of the Carina Nebula, barely distinguishable from background radiation. But there was something about its structure that had triggered every pattern recognition algorithm they had. "Play it again," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. The lab's AI complied, transforming the signal into a visual cascade of quantum data. Most people would see random noise, but Sarah saw music, a symphony of information encoded in quantum states that shouldn't have survived interstellar travel. Dr. Chen, Marcus Wong, her youngest researcher, appeared at her side. "The deep learning analysis is complete. You're going to want to see this." The holographic display shifted, revealing layers of encryption that reminded Sarah of Russian nesting dolls. Each layer was more sophisticated than the last, but that wasn't what made her breath catch. It was the timestamp embedded in the signal's core. "This can't be right," she muttered, stepping closer to the display. "The signal degradation suggests it's been traveling for 300 years, but the timestamp..." She trailed off, her mind racing to process the implications. "Shows it was sent yesterday," Marcus finished. "I've run the verification protocols 3 times. It's not an error." Sarah reached for her secure comm unit, the one connected directly to the Global Defense Council. In the 15 years since humanity had secretly detected the first signs of extraterrestrial civilizations, they had never encountered anything like this. Her fingers hovered over the emergency contact button when the signal changed. The quantum cascade suddenly crystallized into a clear message, bypassing their decryption attempts as if the signal itself had decided it was time to be understood. The message was simple, devastating, and impossible to ignore. "They are coming. We were first. We failed. Learn from our end." Attached to the message was a massive data package, and as it began to decrypt itself, Sarah felt the weight of history shifting around her. The lab's AI started categorizing the information: technical specifications, star charts, cultural records, and tactical analyses, the dying testament of a civilization that had faced something terrible and lost. Within hours, Sarah found herself in the underground chamber of the Global Defense Council, facing the 20 individuals who secretly guided humanity's preparation for extraterrestrial contact. The room was designed to be intimidating, with its high ceiling and ancient wooden panels contrasting sharply with embedded quantum computers and holographic interfaces. But today, the council members looked as unsettled as she felt. "Dr. Chen," Director Hammond began, his dark face illuminated by the holographic display of the signal analysis, "please explain to the council why you believe this warning requires immediate action." Sarah stood, her civilian clothes standing out among the formal attire of the council members. "The civilization that sent this message," she began, "achieved technological advancement far beyond our current capabilities. Yet they were defeated by something they call the Nexus Collective, a group of allied species that forcefully assimilate other civilizations into their network." She gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show star charts marked with the collective's expansion pattern. But here's what's crucial. The message wasn't sent using conventional quantum entanglement or subspace communications. They developed something new, a method of encoding information in the fabric of spacetime itself. That's why the timestamp appears impossible. They didn't just send a message through space. They sent it through time. The chamber erupted in murmurs, but Sarah continued. "The data package includes details of the collective's assimilation process. They don't arrive as conquerors. They come as benefactors, offering advanced technology and membership in their galactic community. But acceptance means the gradual erosion of cultural identity and independence. Those who refuse face technological quarantine at best, forced integration at worst." Director Hammond leaned forward. "And you believe this warning is genuine?" "The quantum signature of the message matches nothing in our database, but the physics principles it demonstrates are sound. We verify the mathematical proofs included in the data. This isn't a hoax or a misunderstanding. It's a gift from a civilization that chose to use its final moments to warn others. How long do we have? The question came from Admiral Zhang, her weathered face grave. Sarah projected a new set of calculations, based on the expansion patterns shown in the data, and assuming they maintain their current rate of advancement, 20 years, maybe 25. That's not much time to prepare for an encounter with a technologically superior force, someone muttered. No, Sarah agreed, but we have advantages they don't expect. For one, we know they're coming. 2, they don't know we know. And 3, she paused, making eye contact with each council member. We've been preparing for extraterrestrial contact for 15 years without broadcasting our advancements to the cosmos. As far as any watching eyes can tell, we're still a primitive civilization barely reaching for our moon. Director Hammond nodded slowly. Dr. Chen, what do you recommend? Sarah took a deep breath. This moment would change the course of human history, and she needed to get it right. We continue our technological development in secret, but we adjust our focus. The data package includes information about the collective scanning and detection capabilities. We need to develop countermeasures that make us appear less advanced, not more. We need to perfect the art of hiding in plain sight. She brought up one final display, showing a complex network of quantum fields. And we need to master the physics behind this message. The civilization that sent it didn't just give us a warning. They gave us the tools to protect ourselves. We just need to be smart enough to use them without being noticed. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had just been handed a choice. Prepare in secret for an inevitable confrontation, or continue on their current path and risk losing everything that made them unique. There's something else, Sarah added, her voice quieter now. The data package includes records of other civilizations that refused assimilation. Some survived, some didn't, but they're out there. If we can contact them, help them, we could build a network of our own. Admiral Zhang finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. Not an empire or a collective, but a coalition of independent worlds united by choice rather than force. Exactly, Sarah nodded. But first, we need to make sure Earth appears to be exactly what the collective expects to find. A primitive world not worth their immediate attention. Director Hammond stood, his decision made. Dr. Chen, you'll head the new Quantum Concealment Division. Admiral Zhang will coordinate with global military forces to develop hidden defense capabilities. Everyone else, we need to create a convincing facade of normal technological progression while accelerating our actual development in secret facilities. He looked around the chamber, his expression grave but determined. From this moment forward, humanity's greatest achievement will be appearing to have achieved very little at all. Let's make sure that when the collective arrives, they find exactly what they expect to find, and nothing of what we actually are. As Sarah left the chamber that night, she looked up at the stars visible through the transparent ceiling. Somewhere out there, a civilization had sacrificed itself to give humanity a chance. She silently promised they wouldn't waste it. The next morning, as the world continued its normal routine, unaware of what was coming, the real work began. In hidden facilities across the globe, humanity started preparing for a visitor they hoped wouldn't arrive for decades. Their greatest weapons wouldn't be warships or energy weapons, but patience, ingenuity, and the ability to hide their true nature in plain sight. The warning bells had rung. Now it was time to answer them, quietly, carefully, and with all the cunning humanity could muster. The silent shield. 20 years passed like a held breath. The quantum shield that now enveloped Earth's solar system was invisible to conventional sensors, a masterpiece of misdirection built from the physics principles hidden in that ancient warning. To the outside universe, Earth appeared exactly as it should, a moderately polluted planet with primitive space capabilities, its inhabitants still arguing about colonizing their own moon. Commander Maya Patel stood in the observation dome of Shadow Station 1, a facility that officially didn't exist, hidden in the dark side of the moon. The station's quantum camouflage made it appear as nothing more than another crater to both visual and electronic surveillance. Through the dome's transparent panels, she watched Earth rotate slowly below, its surface dotted with lights that revealed nothing of the technological revolution hiding beneath them. "They're here," her second-in-command, David Foster, announced quietly. He didn't need to elaborate. Everyone in the station had been tracking the collective's scout ship since it entered the Oort cloud. Maya nodded, her expression neutral despite the gravity of the moment. "Show me." The dome's surface transformed into a tactical display, showing the scout ship's approach. It was beautiful in an alien way, all sweeping curves and iridescent surfaces that seemed to shift between states of matter. The ship's design alone confirmed everything in the ancient warning. This was technology centuries beyond what Earth openly displayed. "They're scanning us," David reported, monitoring the quantum interference patterns. "Full spectrum analysis, just like the warning said they would." Maya allowed herself a small smile. "And what do they see?" "Exactly what we want them to. Primitive satellite networks, early warning systems that barely deserve the name, and a whole lot of space junk. The quantum shield is performing perfectly. They're seeing past and present exactly as we scripted it." The scout ship continued its approach, following the precise pattern the warning had predicted. 2 decades of preparation were about to be tested. "Signal from Earth," David announced. "The UN Security Council is convening an emergency session to discuss the unprecedented situation." His use of air quotes reflected the theatrical nature of it all. The real decisions had been made long ago. Maya watched as the carefully choreographed chaos unfolded below. News networks broadcast panicked reports about the alien ship. Military forces around the world made a show of raising their alert levels, mobilizing outdated aircraft and missiles that would be useless against the collective's technology. It was a performance 20 years in the making, and every human on Earth was an actor in it. The scout ship took up position just beyond lunar orbit. Right on schedule, it broadcast its first message, a standard greeting in multiple formats, including basic radio waves that Earth's primitive technology could easily receive. "Let's make them wait," Maya commanded. 12 hours of confusion and panic before anyone even thinks to decode their message. "David, initiate Protocol Babel." Protocol Babel was another gift from the warning. A way to appear less organized, less unified than humanity had become. For the next 12 hours, Earth's nations would appear to struggle with translating the alien message, despite having decoded it the instant it arrived. Maya turned to the quantum communications console, technology that officially wouldn't exist for another century. "Status of the defense grid. All stations report ready," the operator replied. "Quantum shielding is holding at 100%. The collective's scans are bouncing off exactly the false data we want them to see." The real Earth, the one hidden beneath the quantum veil, was far different from the image being projected. Orbital defense platforms disguised as debris waited silently. Quantum computers processed data in underground facilities that appeared as subway tunnels to external scans, and in hidden shipyards throughout the solar system, humanity's real space fleet stood ready. Ships built with a perfect blend of Earth innovation and reverse-engineered technology from the warning's data package. "Message from Director Chen," David reported. Sarah Chen had risen to lead the Global Defense Council, her original discovery of the warning making her uniquely qualified to guide humanity through this moment. She says everything is proceeding as anticipated. The UN will discover a pattern in the alien message in approximately 10 hours. Maya nodded, remembering the endless simulations they had run of this moment. The collective's playbook, detailed in the warning, gave them the advantage of perfect preparation. Every reaction, every seeming mistake, was calculated to reinforce their carefully crafted image of a primitive civilization caught off guard by first contact. "New development," David announced suddenly. "The scout ship is launching probes. 12 of them, heading for different points around Earth." Maya felt a flutter of tension, but kept her voice steady. Just as the warning predicted. Track them all. Let's see if our sensor spoofing holds up to closer inspection. The probes spread out around the planet, each one conducting detailed scans of Earth's infrastructure, technology, and defenses. Each one would find exactly what the collective expected, and nothing more. Hours passed as humanity maintained its elaborate charade. Maya watched the data streams from the quantum shield, marveling at how perfectly it worked. The physics principles in the warning had been revolutionary, but it was human innovation that had turned them into this, a planetary cloaking device that didn't just hide their advanced technology, but replaced it with false data so convincing it could withstand the closest scrutiny. Probe analysis complete, David reported. They're buying it. According to their scans, we're exactly where we should be technologically, maybe even a little behind schedule. Maya allowed herself to relax slightly. The first and most crucial test had been passed. Phase 2 would be even more delicate, accepting the collective's inevitable offer of assistance while appearing grateful but not too capable. They would have to fumble with the gifted technology, progress slowly enough to avoid suspicion, but not so slowly as to frustrate their would-be benefactors. As she watched the scout ship glowing in Earth's night sky, Maya thought about the civilization that had sent the warning. Their sacrifice had given humanity time to prepare, to turn their greatest weakness, their relative technological backwardness, into their greatest strength. The collective expected to find a primitive species ready for assimilation. Instead, they found an elaborate illusion, a carefully crafted deception maintained by every human being on Earth. They're broadcasting again, David reported. The official first contact message, exactly as predicted. Maya nodded. Then let's give them exactly what they expect. A primitive species about to learn its place in the galaxy. She paused, allowing herself a small smile. Even if that place isn't quite what they imagine it to be. The game was on. Humanity had spent 20 years learning to hide in plain sight. Now they would learn if they could maintain that deception under the direct gaze of the very force they were hiding from. The quantum shield held firm, invisible and impenetrable, as Earth prepared to welcome its first official alien visitors with carefully crafted wonder and fabricated naivety. The silent shield had worked. Phase 1 was complete. Now came the harder part, maintaining the illusion while beginning the next stage of humanity's long-term plan. Not just to resist assimilation, but to change the very nature of galactic civilization itself. The revelation. First observer Krell stood before the collective's High Council, his iridescent scales dulled with concern. The massive chamber, with its living architecture that pulsed with neural energy, seemed to reflect his unease. The data he was about to present would not be welcomed. Honored Council, he began, his translator converting his harmonic speech into the collective's standard format. I bring disturbing observations from Sol system. The holographic displays activated, showing Earth rotating peacefully below the collective's observation platforms. The humans progress exactly as expected, one council member noted dismissively. Their adaptation rate to our gifted technology matches all previous patterns. That, Krell said carefully, is precisely the problem. He gestured, and the display shifted to show a complex statistical analysis. In 50,000 cycles of assimilation, no species has ever matched the predicted pattern so perfectly. There are always variations, unexpected leaps or delays. The human's progress follows our models with impossible precision. The chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. High Counselor Vale, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated deep thought, spoke first. You believe they are deceiving us. I believe something is wrong, Krell corrected diplomatically. And there is more. The display shifted again, showing a star map of nearby systems. We have detected anomalies in the quantum signature of several previously surveyed pre-contact civilizations. Their development patterns have changed. The data streamed across the display. Worlds that had been on predictable technological trajectories suddenly developing unexpected defensive capabilities. None of them advanced enough to challenge the collective, but the pattern was troubling. Most concerning, Krell continued, is this. He highlighted a section of encrypted quantum communications they had intercepted from Earth. Their primitive encryption is easy to break, but the underlying code contains fragments of mathematical principles that shouldn't be possible at their development stage. Principles that resemble the predecessors. Vale finished, her crystalline form dimming slightly. The predecessors, the mysterious civilization whose ruins they occasionally found, always with signs of incredible technological advancement, always completely abandoned. Meanwhile, on Earth, Sarah Chen studied the latest reports in her underground office beneath the Himalayas. The collective's increased scrutiny had been expected. They were right on schedule. She opened a quantum-encrypted channel to the hidden facility on Europa, where humanity's real space program operated in secret. Status report, she commanded. Maya Patel's hologram appeared, her image steady despite transmitting through the quantum shield. The collective's deep scan satellites are exactly where we predicted. Our quantum spoofing systems are holding firm. They're seeing what we want them to see. Sarah nodded, bringing up another display showing the network of civilizations they had contacted over the past 2 decades. The warning hadn't just given them technology. It had given them coordinates, frequencies, methods of contact. While maintaining their facade of primitive development, humanity had reached out to other worlds facing the same threat. How many now? Maya asked, noting the expanded network. 17 civilizations fully integrated into the quantum defense network, Sarah replied. 12 more in early stages of contact. The collective's assimilation pattern is becoming disrupted, though they haven't realized why yet. A secret resistance had grown in the galaxy, hidden beneath layers of quantum deception. Earth appeared primitive while acting as a hidden nexus of coordination, sharing defensive technologies and techniques for avoiding assimilation. Each world maintained its independence while contributing to a growing network of mutual protection. Back in the collective's council chamber, Krell presented his final piece of evidence. We've detected quantum fluctuations around Sol's system that suggest. He hesitated, knowing how impossible it would sound. That suggests someone warned them we were coming, years before we arrived. The chamber erupted in disagreement. Vale raised her crystalline appendages for silence. Impossible. Our approach was undetectable. Their primitive technology. What if, Krell interrupted, breaking protocol in his urgency, what we see of their technology isn't accurate? What if everything we've observed has been carefully crafted to meet our expectations? In her Europa office, Maya received an urgent alert. They're launching a deep space probe toward the Kuiper Belt, she reported to Sarah. Trajectory suggests they're looking for hidden installations. Sarah remained calm. This too had been predicted. Activate the outer shield array. Let them find exactly what they expect. Nothing but ice and rock. The quantum shield extended far beyond Earth's orbit, a vast network of hidden satellites and sensor arrays that didn't just hide humanity's true capabilities, but actively projected false data. The collective's probe would find precisely what it was looking for, confirmation of their own assumptions. But in the collective's council chamber, doubt had taken root. Vale reviewed the data again, her crystalline structure pulsing with troubled frequencies. If Krell is correct, if the humans somehow knew we were coming, then everything we've observed could be orchestrated, another council member finished. But that would imply a level of species-wide coordination and deception unprecedented in galactic history. Krell's scales shifted to a pattern indicating grim satisfaction. Precisely. And if they're capable of that level of deception, what else might they be capable of? The question hung in the chamber like a physical presence. The collective had encountered resistance before, even coordinated resistance. But never anything like this, a civilization that might have spent years preparing for their arrival, crafting an elaborate deception that turned their own assimilation protocols against them. Sarah Chen received the quantum ripples of the collective's growing unease with satisfaction. The warning had told them this moment would come. when the first cracks would appear in the collective certainty. But what the warning hadn't predicted, couldn't have predicted, was humanity's response to it. They hadn't just prepared to resist assimilation. They had created something new, a hidden network of independent worlds, each maintaining their own culture while secretly advancing beyond the collective's ability to control them. The quantum shield didn't just hide Earth's true nature. It protected dozens of worlds now, all advancing together while appearing to remain primitive and isolated. They'll try to prove it, Maya predicted, studying the collective's probe data. They'll increase surveillance, run deeper scans, maybe even attempt direct infiltration. Sarah nodded. Let them. Every test they run will confirm what they expect to see. And while they're watching us so carefully, they won't notice what's happening right under their sensors. Maya finished. The network keeps growing. The quantum shield held firm, its invisible protection extending far beyond what the collective could imagine. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't just hiding their own advancement. It was helping others hide theirs as well. The galaxy was changing, one hidden world at a time, and the collective hadn't even realized it yet. But they were beginning to suspect, and that made the next phase both more dangerous and more critical. The time was coming when the deception would have to end, not with a revolution of violence, but with a revelation that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization itself. The choice. The emergency session of the collective's High Council stretched into its third day. The living architecture of the chamber had dimmed to reflect the gravity of their discussions, its neural patterns pulsing with agitation. First observer Krell watched as the evidence he presented tore at the very foundations of their civilization. These readings cannot be disputed, Counselor Zena argued, her energy form flickering with intensity. The quantum signatures we've detected around supposedly primitive worlds match patterns found in predecessor ruins. Someone is sharing advanced technology across the galaxy and hiding it from us, Vale added, her crystalline structure casting fractured shadows. The humans are at the center of it. Every anomaly we've detected links back to their system in some way. The display showed a web of quantum connections, barely detectable but undeniable. Worlds that should have been isolated were somehow coordinating, advancing in ways that defied the collective's models while appearing to remain primitive. It was an unprecedented challenge to everything the collective believed about their role in the galaxy. Meanwhile, aboard the collective's flagship, Unity, Admiral Tsan reviewed the latest surveillance data from Earth. The massive ship hung in dark space beyond Saturn's orbit, hidden from human detection, or so they believed. His compound eyes studied readings that simultaneously confirmed and contradicted each other. "Show me the temporal analysis again," he ordered. The ship's AI compiled data from 20 years of observation, creating a timeline of human development. On the surface, it showed exactly what they expected, a primitive species stumbling toward the stars. But beneath that, the patterns are too perfect, his analyst, Vera, noted. Her species had evolved to process complex data streams, their neural architecture specially designed for pattern recognition. It's as if they're following a script. A script they shouldn't have had access to. San agreed. Unless they were warned. The new voice belonged to Saren, a member of the collective's Science Council. She stepped onto the bridge, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with troubled thoughts. And if they were warned, if they've spent years preparing for our arrival, then everything we think we know about them could be wrong. San finished. The implications were staggering. The collective's entire approach to uplifting primitive species was based on predictable patterns of development and response. But if a civilization could somehow hide its true capabilities. Back on Earth, in the quantum-shielded chamber beneath the Himalayas, Sarah Chen received reports from their deep space monitoring network. The collective's internal communications were in chaos, exactly as planned. She opened a channel to Maya on Europa. "They're beginning to fracture," she reported. "Their surveillance shows increasing signs of internal disagreement." Maya's hologram nodded. "The philosophical divide we predicted. Yes, some see our deception as proof that we're too dangerous to be allowed independence. Others. Sarah smiled slightly. Others are beginning to question the entire basis of their assimilation protocol. The warning had predicted this too, that the collective wasn't as unified as they appeared. Their drive to assimilate other species came from a genuine belief that it was best for the galaxy, showing them another way, a path that preserved independence while still allowing for cooperation, would create inevitable conflict within their ranks. In the collective's council chamber, that conflict was reaching a breaking point. Vale faced her fellow council members, her crystalline form radiating determination. We must consider the possibility that our entire approach has been wrong. These worlds aren't just resisting assimilation, they're creating something new. A network of independent civilizations advancing together while maintaining their unique identities. Impossible. Minister Cole's metallic form vibrated with agitation. Unity requires uniformity. Our protocols exist for a reason. Allowing worlds to advance independently leads to chaos, to conflict. Does it? Krell interrupted, his scales shifting to a pattern indicating deep thought. Look at what these worlds have achieved in secret. They've developed technologies we barely understand, created defenses we can't penetrate, all while appearing to remain primitive. And they've done it without losing their individual cultures. The chamber erupted in debate. Centuries of certainty collided with undeniable evidence that their assumptions might be wrong. The collective had always believed that technological advancement required their guidance, their control. The humans and their hidden network proved otherwise. Aboard Unity, Admiral San made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Send a message to Earth, he ordered, not through official channels. Use the quantum frequencies we detected in their hidden communications. Vira looked up in surprise. Sir, that would violate dozens of protocols. The protocols are wrong, San stated firmly. We've been wrong, and I want to know how wrong before we make an irreversible mistake. The message was sent, an admission that they knew about the deception, and a request for direct, honest dialogue. When it reached Earth's quantum defense network, Sarah Chen was unsurprised. This too had been predicted, though the warning hadn't been able to tell them what would happen next. She crafted the response carefully. Not a revelation of everything they'd achieved, but an invitation, a chance for those within the collective who questioned their methods to see another way. The quantum shield protecting Earth would remain, but a door would open, just enough to show what was possible when civilizations were allowed to develop on their own terms. In the council chamber, the debate reached its climax. Vale faced her opponents, her crystalline structure blazing with conviction. We stand at a crossroads. We can escalate, try to force these worlds back into our expected patterns. Or we can admit that perhaps, after all these centuries, we'd found a better way. The chamber split, literally and metaphorically. Those who couldn't accept the challenge to their fundamental beliefs departed, already planning how to contain what they saw as a galaxy-wide rebellion. But others remained, drawn by the possibility that everything they thought they knew about galactic civilization might be wrong. A choice had been made, not just by the collective, but by humanity. They could have used their hidden advancement to confront the collective directly, to fight force with force. Instead, they had chosen a subtler path, showing another way forward, creating a crack in the collective's unity that would either destroy it or transform it into something new. Sarah Chen sent the signal that would begin the final phase of their long plan. Across the galaxy, quantum shields flickered, revealing glimpses of what lay beneath them. Not enough to expose their full capabilities, but enough to show the collective's dissidents that their choice to question everything hadn't been wrong. The game of deception was ending, but the real challenge was just beginning. Transforming an entire galactic civilization would make hiding from it seem simple by comparison. But humanity had spent 20 years preparing for this moment, building a network of allies who shared their vision of a galaxy where unity didn't require uniformity. The choice had been made. Now they would face its consequences together. The new dawn, the grand chamber of Earth's diplomatic center, hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean, had never hosted a meeting like this before. Representatives from 17 previously primitive worlds sat alongside members of the collective who had chosen to break away from their civilization's traditional path. The quantum shield still surrounded Earth, but now it served a different purpose, not to hide, but to protect this unprecedented gathering. Sarah Chen stood at the central podium, her hair now streaked with gray after 20 years of maintaining humanity's greatest deception. Behind her, a massive window looked out into the deep ocean, a reminder of the depths that could hide the most remarkable things. For 2 decades, she began, we've lived behind a veil of quantum deception. Today, that changes. She gestured, and the chamber's holographic displays activated, showing the true extent of what humanity and their allies had built in secret. Hidden shipyards around gas giants, research stations in dimensional pockets, quantum communication networks that spanned the galaxy, all revealed for the first time. The gathered representatives, both former collective and independent worlds, watched in amazement as the full scope of their shared achievement became clear. Vale, her crystalline form now bearing the marks of her split from the collective, spoke first. All this time, while we thought we were guiding you, you were actually guiding us. Sarah finished, showing us exactly what not to become. The warning we received didn't just tell us you were coming. It showed us a better way forward. In orbit above Earth, Maya Patel commanded the reveal of humanity's true space fleet. Ships emerged from quantum shadows, their designs unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Perfect fusions of multiple technological traditions, proof that advancement didn't require submission to a single template. The collective believed unity required uniformity. Maya broadcast to the assembled fleet, we proved that diversity is strength. Each civilization in our network contributed unique perspectives, innovative solutions. Together, we achieved more than any single approach could have. But the revelation wasn't without risk. The conservative faction of the collective, those who couldn't accept the challenge to their fundamental beliefs, had not remained idle. Their fleet gathered at the edge of human space, struggling to penetrate the quantum shield that now protected not just Earth, but an entire network of independent worlds. Admiral San, now the highest-ranking military leader to join the independents, reviewed the tactical displays. They'll try to force the issue, he warned. Everything they believe demands it. Sarah nodded. Let them come, not to fight, but to see. The quantum shield protecting Earth rippled, not with defensive energy, but with something far more powerful, truth. The hidden network activated its greatest achievement, a galaxy-wide quantum broadcast that broke through every barrier, reached every world. The message was simple but revolutionary. There was another way. In the collective's remaining strongholds, populations that had never questioned the doctrine of forced unity watched in amazement as the broadcast showed them what free cooperation could achieve. Ships more advanced than their own, technologies that broke their understood laws of physics, and most importantly, worlds that had advanced together while remaining uniquely themselves. We could have used this technology to hide forever, Sarah told the assembled representatives. Instead, we choose to use it to show everyone the truth. Unity doesn't require submission. Progress doesn't demand conformity. The galaxy is vast enough for many paths forward. The conservative collective fleet approached Earth, weapons charged, but they found themselves facing not just humanity's revealed strength, but a unified network of independent worlds, each contributing their unique capabilities to a defense that made conflict pointless. In the diplomatic chamber, Maya joined Sarah at the podium. The warning told us this moment would come, she said, when we would have to choose between hiding forever and showing the galaxy another way. And now we have a different kind of choice to make, Sarah added, addressing the gathered representatives. How do we move forward? How do we build a galaxy where cooperation and independence aren't mutually exclusive? Vale's crystalline form shimmered with possibility. The collective began with a noble goal, bringing civilizations together, advancing the galaxy as a whole. We lost our way when we decided there was only one path to that goal. Then let's build something new, Sarah proposed. Not a collective that demands submission, but a coalition that celebrates difference. Not an empire that controls, but a network that connects. The quantum broadcast continued, showing not just their technological achievements, but the unique cultures that had flourished in secret. Artists who blended different worlds' traditions, scientists whose diverse perspectives cracked problems that had stumped homogeneous approaches, worlds that had grown stronger by remaining true to themselves while reaching for the stars. In orbit, the conservative collective fleet faced a choice of their own. Their sensors confirmed what the broadcast showed. They were outmatched, not just in technology, but in philosophy. Fighting would accomplish nothing except proving why their approach had to change. One by one, their weapons powered down, not in submission, but in recognition. The galaxy had changed under their watch, grown beyond their rigid vision of unity. Now they had to choose, adapt or become irrelevant to the future they had tried so hard to control. In the diplomatic chamber, representatives from dozens of worlds began the hard work of building something unprecedented. A galactic civilization based on cooperation rather than control, on diversity rather than dominance. The quantum shield remained, not to hide them, but as a reminder of what they had achieved together, while protecting their right to remain unique. Sarah looked out at the assembled beings, former enemies and secret allies, different species and cultures all working together while remaining true to themselves. The warning had shown them what was coming, but humanity had chosen how to respond. Not with violence, not with simple resistance, but by showing the galaxy a better way. The silent guardians can finally speak, she announced. And our message is simple. The future belongs to all of us, exactly as we are. Above Earth, the quantum shield pulsed one final time, not to hide, but to illuminate. Its light reached across the galaxy, not as a warning, but as an invitation. The age of forced unity was over. The age of chosen cooperation had begun. The deception was complete, not in hiding the truth, but in revealing it in a way that made conflict meaningless. Humanity had guarded not just their own independence, but the right of all civilizations to chart their own course among the stars. The silent guardians had completed their mission, not through force of arms, but through the power of showing another way forward. And in the depths of space, the quantum frequencies carried one final message, sent toward the source of the original warning. We heard you. We learned. And we found a better way. Thank you. The new dawn had arrived, not with a bang, but with a revelation that changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly the point.